Chess is all about these 6 pieces. So let's learn how to move each of them. Starting with the rook in chess. A rook always moves straight. So either it will go straight up or straight down or straight right or straight left. So if this rook wants to go here, then it can first go to this square and then to this square. From here, if the rook wants to go to this square, then it can first go to this square and then to this square. So basically, a rook always moves in straight lines like this. Now let's meet the bishops. Every player gets 2 bishops in the game. One always sits on the dark square while the other one always sits on the light square. And the bishops always moves in diagonals. So this bishop can move anywhere on these diagonals while this bishop can move anywhere on these diagonals. So this bishop will always move on the dark square diagonals like this, while the other bishop will always move on the light square diagonals like this. So this is called as the dark squared bishop while this is called as the light squared bishop. Remember, both the bishops always move on diagonals. And now it is time to meet the most powerful piece in the game, and that is the queen. And the reason why she is so powerful, that's because she combines the powers of 2 pieces, and those being the rook and the bishop. So just like a rook, she can move in straight lines, like she can go up, she can come straight down or straight to the right or straight to the left, and just like a bishop, she can move on diagonals like this. Let's see the queen in action. So from here, the queen can go to this square over here, and from here she can move like a bishop in diagonal. So she can come here. Now she can move straight again, diagonals, straight down, diagonals, and so on and so forth. So if the queen wants to reach to this destination square over here, then there are a number of ways of reaching this square. First is she can first come here and then over here. Second route is she can come to this square and then head to this square. Third route is she can first come to this square and then to this square. Fourth route is she can come to this square and then to this square. Besides these 4 routes, there are a number of other ways that she can reach to this destination square, but those routes would be little longer. For example, coming to this square and then to this square and then to this one. But in chess, when you want to reach a particular place, you would often select the shorter routes. So let's get our queen to this square. She comes here and now she comes here. Now from here, if she wants to come to this square, then she can take this route or any other available routes on the board. Now please note that a queen can move to only one square in one turn. So for example, if you want to reach to this square, then you cannot make 2 moves in one turn. So it will take 2 moves for you to reach this destination square over here. So in the first turn, your queen will have to come here, and then in the second turn, she can come to this square. And the same logic applies to all the other chess pieces on the board. And now after the queen, let's meet the king. The king moves exactly same like the queen, with the only difference being that unlike the queen, the king doesn't go long distances. Since he is the head of the army and all of his work can be done by his army people, that is why he can move in all directions just like the queen, but only one square at a time. So he can move up, down, left, right, and in all the diagonals over here. So throughout the game, he just takes one step at a time. So this is how the king moves on the board. And now let's meet the most interesting chess piece in the game, and that is the knight. But before learning the moves of the knight, please do like this video and subscribe to my channel. The knight is the most funny piece on the chessboard because it doesn't move straight, it doesn't move in diagonals, but it moves 3 squares in an L-shaped pattern. So if the knight is sitting here, then it can either go to this square or to this square, or from here it can go to this square, or it can come down and go to this square, or it can go to the left hand side and come to this square or this square. So basically, the knight can go to all of these squares marked with the red circles. Notice how the knight is moving in an L-shaped pattern to get onto these squares. Let's make our knight jump to one of these squares. Let's say he comes to this square, and now from here it can go to all of these squares marked with the red circles. Let's make our knight jump over here, and now from here it can go to all of these squares. So the interesting thing about knight is that in every move, it keeps changing the color of the square that it jumps on. So if the knight is sitting on a light square like here, then in the next move, it can move to one of these dark squares. Let's say my knight comes to this square. Now from here, since it's sitting on a dark square, it can go to any one of these light squares. So now this knight will jump to this light square, and now again it will go to one of the dark squares marked with these green circles. An easy way to remember the move of the knight is that it goes 2 squares straight and then it just slides to the side. So 1, 2, slide to the side. 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 Also, the knight is the only chess piece in the game that can jump over other chess pieces. So now if this rook is sitting here, the knight's path doesn't get blocked because he can still come to this square or to this square, because he has the ability to jump over other pieces and go to his destination square. And now let's meet the smallest piece in the army, and that is the pawn. So a pawn always moves straight on the board and it never takes a step back. And in the start of the game, all the white pawns sit on this second row and all the black pawns sit on the 7th row. So since these pawns are sitting on their home squares, each of these pawns can move either 1 square ahead or directly 2 square ahead when they are starting off from their home squares. So this pawn can move 1 square ahead or it can go directly 2 squares ahead. Similarly, if black now wants to move this pawn, it can move either 1 step or directly 2 squares ahead. Let's say black moves this pawn 1 square and now it's white's turn. White decides to move this pawn, so it can decide to move either 1 or either 2 squares. Let's say he moves only 1 square. Now it is black's turn. Now black again wants to move this pawn. So how many squares can it move? Now since this pawn is not sitting on the home square, that is why now he can progress in the game by moving only 1 step at a time. So now he can move only 1 square. Now it's white's turn. Now white wants to move this pawn. So can this pawn move directly 2 squares ahead? No, he cannot, because he is not sitting on his home square. So he will have to move only 1 square ahead. Now it's black's turn. Now black wants to move this pawn. So how many squares it can move forward? Well, it can move only 1 square. He cannot go to this square because this square is already occupied by the white pawn. So he will have to move only 1 square ahead. And my question is, on which square can this knight jump to? Your options are c5 square or d5 square. Let me know your answers in the comments box, and I'll see you in the next video.